In this edition of Conversations, we will be getting some valuable information from Lieutenant Chucky Merlo and Detective Sam Campbell from the Shelbyville Police Department. Today's subject is cyber crimes and other scams.
Chucky Merlo
Yes, sir.
and Samuel Campbell, both detectives, and you are what is your official title?
I'm lieutenant over criminal investigations division.
Overall criminal
Yes.
investigations.
Yes.
Okay. When we start talking about criminal investigations, that's a broad spectrum, but today I want us to focus in on something and just talk about some things that I've heard about, we all hear about, and we never want to fall victim to, and that's cyber crimes and other scams that are out there that basically they're thieves hiding behind something, either a phone or a computer screen
Yes,
or
sir.
something. And I know you guys have to deal with it from time to time, and a lot of times you never hear about it, but I'm sure you guys get a lot of reports on that type of thing.
Yes, we get quite a few reports of people being scammed, especially for money. Once they get scammed, and they owe the bank the money.
Right. So what is the most common thing that you see these days?
What's the most common scam we have right now? It's probably
more of the romance scam where they go online, they meet somebody on a website, and then end up sharing some intimate photos, and then those are extorted for money.
Wow.
yes, that happens quite a bit, and usually, unfortunately, it's believe it or not, it's some of the middle-aged to elderly population that falls victim to these scams because it's not only do they extort them for money based on maybe some inappropriate conversations or inappropriate photos, but they also some of the scams that they use on the romance scams is like, okay, well, I'm overseas, I'm in the army, and I'm overseas right now,
Right.
and I need some stuff to help me make it through, or I don't have anybody else back home right now that can help me right now. Can you either send me some money, wire me some money, or different things like that?
Right. So it's you can't verify anything. It's basically somebody behind a computer screen playing a role.
Correct.
And then people fall for it. It's
Correct.
too trusting.
Correct. Most of the time, it's on a dating app, so
Right.
it happens to the ones that are on dating applications.
So I know you've already given some hints to where people could, see some evidence of this taking place, but sometimes people are too trusting and they just follow that path and they end up that way. So when they realize they've been scammed, what can they do at that point?
Right. Let's go back because I think a part of the problem is that they are slightly embarrassed
Right.
that they've been scammed, or they don't want to admit to anybody that they've been scammed. So that's one reason why they sometimes don't report it.
Right.
And what was the?
Well, what are some things they can do once they realize that a scam's underway? How do they reverse it? What can they do to halt it? What's the best move for somebody once they realize they've been scammed like that?
Well, I think is to report it if they're out any monetary items, if they're out money, if they've sent them whatever, if they give up their personal identification, then they probably do need to come file a report with the police department. There is a website handled by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, and it's called ic3.gov. And then if you get on a website, let's say it's a fake website. I'm going to give an example of somebody that I know because it was personal. It's a family member. They ordered a ring from who they thought was K Jewelers.
Right.
Right. So then, like 6 weeks later, they've done paid for this ring and no ring. So she reaches out to this K Jewelers. They finally send a ring, but it's not a ring that she paid for. It was like what you would get out of I don't know if you remember the old Cracker Jack box.
Yeah.
It was a ring such as that.
Goodness.
So then she got with me, and so I started looking at the email address the web address that she was using to pay for and order this ring, and it was a fake K Jewelers website.
Wow.
So I actually, like I said, this has been years ago, and I actually reported it to the FBI just so that they would know that website is a fake website, and so there's no telling how many people might have gone there and lost some money from it.
Wow, that's amazing that somebody would go that elaborate.
Yes, I know. Yeah,
and I'm sure it happens out there. I know there's all sorts of little things that happen that you probably never hear about. Like you were saying earlier, people are a little embarrassed to even admit that they got scammed.
Yeah, and that's been my experience is that they are embarrassed that they got scammed. Depending on what kind of scam it is, Especially the romance scams, those are the ones that they get really embarrassed from. Also, if they lose a lot of money, then they're kind of embarrassed to say, "Hey, I was stupid enough," or they feel like not that they were, but they feel like they were dumb or stupid enough to fall for that scam.
Right.
But these guys, that's all they do pretty much, and they know what they're doing. They're experts at what they call social engineering. So,
Yeah.
they'll call you on the phone or get you on an email, and they're good used car salesmen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they will talk you into things.
I got you. So there are people out there around every corner waiting for their next victim.
Yes, sir.
What are some things that just somebody that's on the computer all the time, maybe browsing, maybe on social media, what are some things that they can do to protect themselves?
I think one of the main things is just, be skeptical of what you're doing. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
Make sure that if you're on a website and you are going to put your bank information in for that website, for whatever reason, that in the URL or the address bar, it should say HTTPS,
Right.
and that means it's secure,
Right.
and there should be a little lock up there. That means it's a secure website. If it's just HTTP and you put your information on there, it's out there for the whole world to see.
Right. So that's a valuable piece of information.
Yes, sir. I also think that if you sign up for whether it be an application on your phone or whether you sign up for something on the internet, use what we call 2FA or MFA. So MFA is multi-factor authentication, or they call it 2FA, which is two-factor authentication. So it's something, so not only do you use a password, but you also use, it may be something that you know, something that you do, it may be
Right.
something that you are. So you could do a fingerprint and a password, you could do
Password and a question.
password and
Security
a question.
question,
It could be like we have for some of the things that we use at work, we have two-factor authentication. So we have what they call an OTP, or a one-time passcode. So basically, whenever we sign into some of our stuff at work, it'll send us a passcode.
Right.
So we have our password that we use, and then it authenticates it by sending it to either our cell phone with a text message or to an authenticator that I've downloaded on my phone. So
Okay. So it's usually like a 6-digit code or a 5-digit code or something like that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that kind of takes away if somebody steals your passcode and they put your passcode in, then it's still got to come to whatever you own, whatever
Right.
device you have, in order for them to be able to get on to that website or application.
Yeah. Sam, I want to ask you this question. We were talking a little bit off camera about credit cards and debit cards and that type of thing. I know that if you use a debit card and like some of the preloaded Visa cards and that type of stuff, could you explain to people, how they can get refunds if they get scammed, and what instance, what should they use if they're doing something online? What's the most secure method?
Most scammers don't want you to go through your bank account necessarily, because often bank accounts will reimburse or withdraw the money back from the account they originally deposited from. So what they'll try to get you to do is take the cash out and go to like a Bitcoin machine, or they'll get gift cards and scratch them off and send them the back of them, or they'll get these green dot cards and other forms of communication to retake the cash, put it in another form of money and send it to them that way. And then the bank is not liable to reimburse you those funds because they weren't a part of that transaction that lost the funds.
Right.
And so the important thing is that if you do give them bank account information, call the bank, notify them first, and then make a report with the police department so that we can see, if we can track down if it's a local, or most of the time these are overseas. But no government official or agency is ever going to contact you and ask you to pay for a fine or bail money or bond money using any kind of electronic funds of like PayPal, Cash App, credit card, debit card. No, they're not going to reach out to you for that.
So you automatically know it's a scam.
Automatically hang up the phone and call that department directly and see if you owe any money, and they'll tell you over the phone. Just double verify. Don't take the word of the person. I've been on the phone with my own bank, and they've called and I didn't feel comfortable with giving information, and hung up the phone, called the bank back, and verified, hey, that was an individual at the bank, but I just didn't feel comfortable with the questions that they were asking.
Right.
So use common sense when you look at the URLs at the top. If there's misspelled words in it, the misspelled words are dead giveaways that
Right.
that is not the actual bank or the actual entity that you're talking to. Go back out, and you go into the entity yourself through another web browser and you start the communication. And most of the times, if you take those precautions, you can actually stop the scam from happening.
Okay, let's change gears just a little bit and talk about children that are on social media or they get on the internet. I know that there are predators out there, and that's something that everybody has to be aware of. Parents need to watch closely what's taking place. What are some tips that you could give parents? What are some tools out there that they could use to help monitor? Do you know of anything that
I know there's some proprietary tools that you can put on cell phones, so that way that you can monitor or see exactly in real time whatever your child is viewing,
Right.
sending, posting, saying, or whatever on their cell phone. I don't know I don't have any names of those, but I do know that there's some proprietary applications for that. Verizon probably provides something. If you
there was
Verizon,
one called Net Nanny?
yeah,
I think
there's
there was
yeah.
one like
So
that.
there's I think there's a bunch of proprietary applications that will allow them to view that. My thing is as a parent, you got to know what they're using.
Right.
So if you don't know if your child's using Snapchat or TikTok or Bumble or any of those applications, then you need to know what it is that they're doing. You
Right.
need to know whether or not it has a chat application, what it's used for. A lot of parents don't know, but Snapchat actually has in it a section where they can create a For My Eyes Only account within Snapchat, and it create at least can it do a 6-digit code on there? Most of them have 4 digits, right?
4 to 6, yeah.
4 to 6 digit code in there, so that's separate from your cell phone, so they can store pictures inside of Snapchat that's sometimes not on your cell phone, and it's
Wow.
under called For My Eyes Only, and it's very popular apparently with some of the younger generations. But I mean, it's like Snapchat. That's what it was created for, was
Yeah.
for you to take pictures and send, and then it goes away.
What are some other things that you guys see out there that involves children? I know that there's always stalkers out there, always trying to. I know that you've had some recent investigations in solicitation of minors and that type of thing. I know you just made an arrest recently with that. What can parents do to guard against that? I mean, a lot of this is in chat rooms and that type of thing. Is there anything specifically outside of hands-on approach? I know the Net Nanny thing and that type. Is there anything else that parents can do to put a wall up between their kids and this type of stuff?
As long as the kid has the phone in their hand, they have access to all this stuff, and it's going to be almost impossible to keep them totally out of the loop of those without putting a lot of restrictions on the phone. Technically, Snapchat, all these social medias have a user agreement that says you're not supposed to be on them unless you're 18 years of age or older. Now, we know that not everybody abides by that, but really you need to have conversations with your kids, and you need to have the passwords need to be shared with the parents so that they know what the passcodes are. We run into instances where parents don't even know their kids' passwords to their accounts. Parents need to be going through these accounts regularly. But some of these websites, our biggest ones are Snapchat, and there's an online Omegle is a viewing webcam app where you can chat with people all across the world. And there's a lot of sex trafficking going on Omegle, Snapchat. We're getting some on Twitter, Instagram,
TikTok.
That's what I meant. Not Twitter, TikTok. And so really conversations with the kids, education, and then sharing the passcodes and making the parents know that they need to get the phone, they need to go through it regularly, and see what their kids are doing on the devices.
Yeah, because right now, like if you remember, MySpace was one of the first social media apps that I remember anyway, and then a lot of came Facebook. Well, Facebook now is geared more toward the, in my opinion, more toward the older population.
Old folks.
Yeah, because now all the younger generation has moved to
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Instagram is owned by Facebook,
Right.
and they moved to Instagram and Snapchat. So,
Okay, so the trends always are changing then.
trends are always changing. It's hard to keep up. I mean, it's like if you pay for that phone bill, then it's your phone.
Right.
You know, and the easiest way to check, you know, your child's phone is just to give me the phone and let me look at it. You know,
Right.
because I mean, hey, let's face it, if they're under 18 years of age, you're paying the bill most of the time.
Right.
It's your phone.
Yeah.
So, you know, we run into a lot of times where parents don't know what the applications are or don't know what the passwords to the applications are, and really sometimes they have no desire to even care what the passwords are.
Yeah. Do you ever see a day, and this is looking down the road, where cyber crimes subside and go away?
Oh, absolutely not. I think it's continuing to rise. You know, we use the internet, and the internet that we use is barely 10% of what the total internet is, because there is something called the dark web.
Yeah.
Right. And there's, you know, you have to have a special web browser, the Onion or the Tor web browser,
Right.
in order to get into it. And so that's where a lot of the drug trade, sex trade, a lot of the scammers, that's where they sell all their credit cards online. I mean, sometimes you know, they'll sell them for pennies on the amount.
Wow. Unbelievable. There's just people out there looking to scam somebody all the time.
Absolutely.
That's your first move right there, isn't it?
Be skeptical of you know, and it may just be my line of work, but I'm skeptical of everything and everybody.
Right.
So verify what it is that you think is going on. Verify if, you know, because here's the deal. They call me all the time saying I won like Publishers Clearinghouse.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know how to sign up for Publishers Clearinghouse.
Exactly.
So, you know, and then they call you all the time about your car's warranty, you know, because basically all that is they're trying to glean some information from you. And that's how they work. I mean, and believe it or not, some people give that information. Some people will, because we've had scams where they say they've won the lottery. In order for you to get this $20,000, we're going to send you $5,000, but you got to send $3,000 of it back, and then we'll give you $20,000.
Yeah.
Well, so they steal that $5,000 from somebody. They get your bank account. They put it into your bank account. Now you go withdraw that money, and you go pay it with either Bitcoin or Green Dot card or some other form of payment, and then all of a sudden you're out $3,000
Wow.
because the bank's not going to pay you back for that.
Yeah. It's amazing what people will think of.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the scary part, and Samuel can elaborate a little bit on this too, is we just run into a recent scam where somebody had give them some money or dump some money in a bank account. They withdraw the money. They try to do it on a Bitcoin machine.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, it didn't work. So they called the scammer back. The scammer was like, okay, well, what's your address? So they get all this information from them, address, a lot of their personal information. And they said, okay, well, we're going to send somebody to pick the money up.
Oh, wow.
So they actually hired a courier. We found out that they're hiring couriers to show up at the house, pick the money up, and then they're going and mailing it. So that's pretty
brazen there.
Yeah, it's very scary in my opinion.
Yeah, I had a case where a lady answered an ad for work at home, make money, work from home. And she ended up working for a scammer who had delivered packages to her house, and her job was to unload the packages, put them in another box, and send them to a pre-shipping label that was mailed to her. And she was paid each week from MoneyGram picked up at Walmart. And she thought she was helping a company overseas put all these products together in one package and save money in shipping. And she was getting payment that way when actually she was helping scammers get products that they had bought fraudulently with credit cards to them without being traced to them.
Wow. So she was basically laundering the shipment for them.
Yep.
Thinking she was working from home, making money on a legitimate company. So if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Be skeptical.
be skeptical.
If it's too good to be true, it is.
Yes,
It's
it
not
is.
probably
Yeah.
is. It is.
It is, yes. And change your passwords often, and use complex passwords. Don't use like password for your password. Use complex passwords.
And if you ever have any questions, feel free to pick up the phone and call the police department and ask them about the scam. We'll tell you, or call, reach out, do some research online, find out for yourself.
Okay. I'm going to backtrack this a little bit. Let's just say there's somebody watching this today and they find themselves, they're in the middle of a scam right now. And maybe they can't recoup some of the money they've lost, but they should give you guys a call, shouldn't they?
Yes, because we'll instruct them how to stop it. Where
Right.
they're not continually given the money, because you'd be surprised at how many times they'll ask for $2,000, they get $2,000, and they'll call back and they'll want more money, and then they'll give them more money. So
Yeah.
we got to stop it at some point.
Well, I hope through this, maybe it will prevent somebody. Maybe it'll make somebody throw up some question marks now. Hearing some of this information, we appreciate you guys sitting down today and talking about this, because it's something that we all are going to face if we're online, or even if we're just picking up the telephone these days. There's scamsters everywhere. So thanks for sitting down, guys. We'll have you back on again soon. Maybe we'll have more information to pass along down the road, because it's changing daily.
It's changing daily. Absolutely, it is.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks for watching.